Hey, what's up? What's going on? This is Matthew Kirby, founder and owner of 9 to 5 Media, where we strive to help others thrive. We live by the tagline, your voice, your story. And today, this series is going to be centered around one thing, right? We talk to a number of leaders in and out of the field, whether it's public health, in the homelessness and nonprofit, right? In all areas to really get their impacts and their thoughts and their everything as much as we can now on that notion or that idea of ending homelessness, right? What does that really look like? Is that just sweet nothings? Is it performative? What does ending homelessness really look like? How does it show up in your work? And honestly, here's the most important part. Who needs to be at the table in order for that to happen? So let's dive right in. Let's jump into it. You're going to hear from a number of leaders, and we're going to get to the thing, right? So enough of my yapping, enough of me talking. Let's not waste any more time and get right into it.
My name is Mary Frances Kenyon, and I'm the Chief Equity Officer at the National Alliance to End Homelessness.
In your work, Mary Frances, what does ending homelessness really mean, and who needs to be at the table to be there? What does ending homelessness look like?
That's a great question, and the answer is deceptively simple. Mm-hmm. Everyone, no matter who they are, mm-hmm. no matter where they come from, mm-hmm. no matter what they may have done in their past, right. should have a safe and affordable place to call home, period.
My name is Mark Horvath, and I'm the founder of Invisible People. We're a nonprofit media publisher working to change the story of homelessness to influence policy change. So I have kind of changed both my mindset and how I try to message it, because I think it's so important now. Mm-hmm. Prevention. For every $100 increase in median rent, mm-hmm. homelessness increases by 9%. Wow. So I try to say preventing and solving homelessness, mm-hmm. because how we think about ending homelessness mm-hmm. is there's 100 homeless people. Right. We just need 100 apartments.
Right. Numbers game, right?
Right. It's a numbers game, and that makes perfect sense, right? Except homelessness is a symptom, mm-hmm. not a cause.
Right, there we go.
So until we fix lack of affordable housing, mm-hmm. lack of a living wage, mm-hmm. racism, foster care, broken criminal justice system, right. domestic violence, mental illness, right. drug addiction, on and on and on, we will never prevent and solve homelessness. Right. So that is why I frame it that way, mm-hmm. because if we say we're going to end homelessness, mm-hmm. people automatically think, oh, there's 100 homeless people. Right. All we need is 100 apartments.
Right. Ta-da!
Right.
We're good, right?
But we need to solve homelessness, right. which means you go upstream to fix the affordable housing crisis.
My name is Nichelle Carver. I've been in the field about 27 years, all government. Started from being an outreach worker to ended up running homelessness for the Commonwealth of Virginia. So I'm 27, almost 28 years in. I wish I could say this was complicated, but I don't think it is. Right. I think what ending homelessness will look like is that anybody who has a housing problem, like they fall into homelessness, they, lost a job, lost a spouse, and they end up being outside. We have systems in place that can get them right back inside within 30 days. Right. So nobody, and inside into a safe space, not just in a building, but nobody would have to experience the pain of sleeping outside or sleeping in a shelter for more than 30 days. So that's the first part, is like we have a system where people can quickly get back inside. But to have that system, it means we have to have the people who have experienced homelessness around the table, along with people who are currently doing so. I think part of the problem is there's too many times that we make these systems and then the people who are supposed to benefit from the system say that doesn't even fit like what I'm looking for, what I need.
There's a disconnect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think having those very people around the table, not as like a guest, but as a person to say, this is how it needs to be for me. And we have enough of those voices where we can really start to craft a system that actually makes sense.
Right.
And we also need to have the people with the money and the people who are building housing and renting housing around the table, because if they are profiting from this, we also need them to hear the voices of the people that are benefiting from them. And maybe we're not going to end capitalism, but maybe we can make capitalism work for us.
Donald Whitehead, Executive Director of the National Coalition for the Homeless. I've been working on homeless issues for the better part of 30 years. NCH is the oldest advocacy group that works directly with and on behalf of people. I think most importantly and often most left out are people with lived experience.
Right.
So people who are experiencing homelessness have to be at the table. They have to be able to fill in the gaps that providers and researchers and politicians just don't understand, or the issues are elusive to them. To end homelessness, we have to make housing a human right. It's like that in most countries in the entire world. But however, in the United States, richest country in the world, we don't have housing as a human right. So for me, it's no one has to sleep outside involuntarily. And we know now that people are forced into homelessness. And so I want to see a country where nobody is forced into that position.
I'm Ann Oliva. I'm the CEO of the National Alliance to End Homelessness. Ending homelessness, to me, it doesn't mean that folks won't suffer some setbacks in their lives. It doesn't mean that nobody will have a hard time or lose their housing. What it does mean is that we have a system in place that serves people and works for people. And if somebody comes across a hard time in their life, that there are services and assistance available to them to get either stay in their housing or to get rehoused as quickly as possible. And that we're minimizing that because our services and our systems are working for people.
My name is Sam Williams. I work with the Connecticut Coalition to End Homelessness as the Emergency Shelter Support Manager. I am also a domestic violence services advocate in a safe house for the Center for Family Justice. So solving homelessness, in my perspective and in my work, is making sure that we have a system that tells those involved, you're not alone. It is a safe space. It is a plethora of resources that get you from point A to point B and back. It's about safety when it comes to making the decision of, being brave enough to exit a situation and be like, this is going to keep me and my family safe and move forward. Safety is having a door that locks from the inside as opposed to locking people out of situations or locking them, or locking them away from things that could potentially save their lives.
Absolutely.
It's not about housing being a luxury. It's about understanding that as human beings, as anything that can procreate in the world, housing is a necessity. It is a basic need. It is, for lack of better wording, the bare minimum that we all should have.
Absolutely.
I'm David Dirks. I'm a licensed attorney in a couple of states, but I've also been a part of homelessness work on the national and local stage for over 15 years, from LA to DC and in many communities in between. Ending homelessness for me, I subscribe to that whole functional zero definition. Make sure that it's brief, non-recurring, but nonetheless, it's really simpler than that. The reality is, we need to get people into housing as quickly as possible and make sure that we can sustain that housing. That sustainment comes from support, that sustainment comes from community, and that's really what we need to build in this country, and we're not doing enough of that. We're not building fast enough, we're not connecting people to the resources that they need to sustain, and that's something that I believe is going to actually end homelessness in this country.
My name is Richard Cruz. I'm the Director of Strategic Impact with Keys to Change in Phoenix, Arizona.
so many people think of homelessness and they see this individual situation. And while that's very true, what I tell people is that what creates homelessness is bad policy, right? It's not drug addiction, it's not family issues, it's bad policy that creates homelessness. And so what we have to do is really have this conversation that attacks this thing from the 10,000 foot view and figures out everybody in the ethos of that particular space, right? So what does it look like to have everybody at the table, but having everybody at the table in a different kind of way? Because so often what happens is people come to the table with their picture, not a puzzle piece, but a picture of what they believe ending homelessness looks like, and that keeps us from being able to really collaborate authentically. Because ultimately, what I need you to come to the table with your puzzle piece, and then together, when everybody has their puzzle piece, and everybody literally is everybody. So I'm saying from the private sector to the public sector, to a government, to big business, small business, everybody has a part to play. For sure. We just have to figure out what's your puzzle piece, and then when we get into the space, then it's time to wrestle with it. And then we got to figure out, like, are you a corner piece? Are you in the middle? You know, and I need you to be as invested once you put your puzzle piece in as you were waiting for your turn to get there. Absolutely. Right? And so how do we make sure that everybody opts in, doesn't opt out, and really begins to have this macro approach to the work? Because quite often we're looking at it like in what's in front of our faces and not realizing there's a whole code that's behind that.